Welcome back to Dinar Daily, your trusted source for the most up-to-date insights on the Iraqi dinar and the unfolding developments shaping its financial journey. So often, a story emerges that carries far more weight than the usual market chatter or day-to-day speculation, and today's update is exactly that. We are diving into an event that is already sending ripple effects through global financial communities, revelation that many long-time observers of Iraq's economy have anticipated but never fully seen take shape until now. This is not a routine briefing. This is a moment that could alter the financial trajectory for countless individuals holding this currency, a milestone whose significance will likely be studied and referenced for years to come. As we step into September, a month usually associated with changing weather, school reopenings, and the winding down of summer, has managed to capture the world's attention with a different kind of change, one that strikes at the heart of international economics. The development we are referring to emerged not through a rumor, not through a leaked memo, and not from speculation on investor forums, from Iraq's own official voice, the Iraqi Gazette. On September 5th, 2025, this government publication released an annex that at first appeared to be just another bureaucratic update. To the untrained eye, it may have seemed ordinary, filled with the dense legal terminology and technical phrases that such documents are known for. Yet, who have spent years decoding the language of financial reform, the words printed in this edition were anything but ordinary, contained subtle but undeniable indicators of a fundamental shift in Iraq's monetary landscape, monetary realignment, foreign reserve recalibration, and exchange parity update may sound abstract, perhaps even dry. Within the world of central banking and international trade, such language is a signal flare that something major is underway. To understand why this is momentous, one must grasp the role of the Gazette itself. It is not a speculative outlet, nor is it a place for trial balloons or policy experiments. It is the final word, the authoritative record that transforms government discussions into binding law. For years, investors have heard statements from officials, promises of reform and assurances of economic stability. But until such words appear in the Gazette, they remain just that, words. This September, however, that changed. The annex carried language that was deliberate, calculated, and unmistakable, sending a message not only to Iraq's citizens, but to global markets as well. When such terminology is recorded in the Gazette, it moves beyond theory and speculation. It becomes a matter of legal record, clear sign that Iraq is preparing to take its currency through a phase of structural adjustment that could lead to full revaluation. This sudden recognition has electrified the financial world. Analysts across Europe, North America, and the Middle East immediately began dissecting the language, comparing it to previous publications and cross-referencing it with international standards. The verdict has been consistent. This annex signals that Iraq is not merely considering change, but is actively moving toward implementing it. For those who have waited years, even decades, holding on to the hope of a revalued dinar, the publication of this annex is not just another routine announcement. Presents the strongest official acknowledgement, yet that change is no longer a question of if, a matter of when to fully appreciate the significance of what has been printed. It is essential to understand the role of the Iraqi Gazette itself. This is not just a government newsletter or a casual circular distributed for public awareness. It is the very foundation upon which Iraq's legal and financial framework rests. when a new law is drafted, when a regulation is modified, when a directive from the central bank needs to become enforceable, it must first appear within the pages of the Gazette. Holds force in Iraq's system until it is recorded there, and making the Gazette not only a witness to history, but the mechanism that transforms intentions into legal reality. It is the moment where proposals cross the threshold into binding obligations. For this reason, investors, economists, financial analysts pay close attention whenever the Gazette is published. Its words are not chosen casually, and its phrasing is never accidental. The September Annex, therefore, has been seen as a deliberate communication, coded but unmistakable declaration that Iraq is moving forward with structural adjustments that carry legal weight. Speeches or press conferences that may change with political wins. The Gazette represents permanence and unambiguous commitment. The fact that language tied directly to monetary reform has been etched in its pages signals that this is not a rehearsal, not a test, but the formal beginning of change. This has also highlighted a stark contrast with years past. For so long, global markets heard Iraq promise reforms, diversification, and currency stability, yet little of that was ever committed to print in the Gazette. The difference now is profound. What was once speculation has become law. Analysts across the globe, that distinction changes everything. The references to concepts like exchange parity valuation and central bank liquidity flows may appear at first glance to be technical language reserved for specialists, but in reality, they serve as critical indicators of how a nation positions its currency on the global stage. Exchange parity refers to the careful balancing of a currency's value in relation to others, ensuring that it reflects not only domestic conditions, but also international trade requirements. When a country makes adjustments in this area, is quietly preparing its economy to interact more seamlessly with external markets, smoothing the path for investment, trade agreements, and reserve stability. Liquidity flows, meanwhile, are the lifeblood of the banking system, dictating how freely capital can move through institutions and how resilient the system will be when faced with sudden shocks or rapid inflows. By choosing to include terms in the September Annex, Iraq signaled that it is no longer content with rhetoric about reform, is actively laying the foundations of a transition. These mechanisms are not cosmetic. They are the underlying structures that support a full revaluation of a national currency, providing the scaffolding upon which stronger exchange rates can be built and maintained. In other words, country is beginning to construct the framework that ensures once the dinar is adjusted, it will not simply spike and collapse, hold firm under the weight of international scrutiny. This transition moves the conversation from a local issue confined to Baghdad into one with global implications. Adjustments to parity and liquidity send ripples through trade contracts, oil agreements, and cross-border investment strategies, pulling Iraq's domestic actions directly into the orbit of global financial systems